DuckStation now finally supports bezels and overlays. It's been highly requested and a long time coming, but Stenzek has finally done it. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to use them. Now at the moment, because it's still early days, there's not too many bezel and overlay packs available for DuckStation. Because of the bespoke way DuckStation loads these in, the ones that you download need to be specific for DuckStation. But there is a way that we can use any bezel or overlay with DuckStation. It does require a little bit of effort and may fall under advanced usage, but of course I'm going to be showing you exactly what everything does. If you're here just to know where to get these from and what button to press to turn them on, I've got you covered. And if you're here for the more advanced stuff and you want to convert your current bezels to be usable with DuckStation, you might want to stick around. Anyway, let's just get into it. Now activating borders with DuckStation is pretty simple. All you got to do is go into your settings, go into post-processing, and then go into the border overlay tab at the top. Then you want to select the bezel you want to use from this drop-down list. Now DuckStation does come with one included, which is this PSX one at the bottom. For the moment, completely ignore this custom option. So when you select this and then boot up a game, it should look like this. For some people, this one bezel may be enough, but I would imagine a lot of you are going to want to know where to get more from. However, when I say these are thin on the ground, I really mean it. I've only found one resource so far that actually has all of the proper files, and that's on the Launchbox forums. Of course, I'll put a link for that in the description below. Of course, as time goes on, more packs will be made. Now when you're downloading these, you should get a whole bunch of instructions. But more importantly, instructions on what to do with these three settings specifically. These three have an impact on the image size and scale, and if set incorrectly, may not line up correctly with your overlay. So each bezel pack that you download should tell you what to do with these three options. When you download these, you're going to get the actual image overlay itself, and you're going to get the configuration file for it. And it's this YML configuration file that is the most important part. The YML file is telling the image where to be and at what size, lining it up correctly with your bezel or overlay. And without this YML file telling the image where to be, it's just not going to work, which is why they're hugely important. Technically, any bezel or overlay is compatible with DuckStation, it's just that someone's got to come along and create a YML configuration for it, to make sure everything is lined up, making it compatible with DuckStation. Now that you got what you need to put it in the right place. And that's going to be in one of two different locations depending if you're using portable mode. If you are using portable mode, you should see all of these folders, including this resources folder. And you should also have this portable.txt file present. If you have all of that, you want to go into this resources folder, go into the overlays folder, and then move the configuration file and the image into that overlays folder. If you're not using portable mode, you're probably not going to see all of these folders, and you're definitely not going to have this portable.txt file present. And if that's the case for you, you need to go to the documents in your quick access on the left hand side, and then go into this DuckStation folder. And as you can see, all of those folders are here instead. So just go into that resources folder, overlays, and move your overlay files into that overlays folder. Once you've got your files in the correct place, you want to restart DuckStation, go into settings, post-processing, border overlay, and in the selected preset drop down list, as you can see, we've got the overlay that we've added. Do keep in mind it's not the images that are showing up here, it's the YML files. So I'm just going to go ahead and select this one. Now the title of this overlay is giving me some hints as to what I need to be setting in my graphics. We got par 1:1 and smooth. So I'm going to go over to the graphics options, change my aspect ratio over to par 1:1, and make sure that my scaling is set to bilinear smooth. And I know that in the overall instructions that the crop needs to be set to only overscan area. So with my bezel set and my graphics as per the instructions, I can go ahead and boot up a game. If you only intend on using other people's bezel packs, that's pretty much everything that you need to know. But now I'm going to show you how to convert any bezel or overlay to be used with DuckStation by setting up that YML file. Now everything I'm about to show you can be done with this custom option in the selected presets. When you select this, you can choose the image path for the overlay, then set up your display size and positioning, do your blending, and then hit export, which will create the YML file. However, using this is pretty laborious. Every time you want to make a change, you need to re-export the YML and then override that you've currently got. Otherwise, you're just going to end up with a bunch of YMLs, and it can get a little bit confusing. However, there is a much easier way. By sorting out these YML files ourselves outside of DuckStation, it makes it easier to create them, edit them, and there's a sneaky little way that we can see our changes take place in real time. This does do the job, but because of the way YML files work, it is a little bit clunky. So I found this bezel on the internet and I want to use it. So I've added it to the overlays folder. But of course, it's not going to work yet because there's no YML file associated with it. So I'm just going to copy and paste the PSX one that's already there. Then you want to rename this to whatever the image is. So I just like to copy that out of there and then just paste that straight in there. Now the first time you edit a YML file, you're probably going to need to right click on it, go down to open with and select Notepad or whatever text editor that you're using. As you can see, the configuration file is pretty simple. There's only 7 things in here. Now image at the top is where you're setting the image that you're relating to this YML file. And for this one, it needs to be changed to this. Now when you are changing these, make sure to include the file extension. I've forgotten this on many occasions and it's messed me up. So always remember that file extension no matter what it is. Now these 4 X and Y coordinate entries is how you're setting the screen size and positioning, lining it up correctly with that overlay. Now because there's a bunch of different variables, it's really difficult for me to give any kind of direct advice with this. It's going to vary depending on your screen resolution, resolution of the image, format of the image, and some other stuff. However, what I can do is give you the best possible starting point. And if you're using these kind of bezels where it's just an image either side with nothing above and below, you can just do what I'm about to show you. So with the display start X and Y, we're going to change both of these to 0. And with the display end X and Y, you want to change this to the resolution of your display, which for me is 1920 by 1080. Doing this will make the video image display at full screen without cropping anything. And if you're using these kind of bezels, that's pretty much ideal. However, if you are using something like a CRT overlay where you've got to change the image size and the position, you are going to need to mess with these values, which is the most trickiest part of the whole thing. Now destination alpha blend at the bottom is really important. This lets your overlays actually overlay. When it's set to false, your video image will sit on top of your overlay. When it's changed to true, your overlay will sit on top of your video image, which is what you want for the most part. Once you've got this set up how you need it to be, or you've given it your best approximation, don't forget to save it. Then if you've already got DuckStation running, make sure that you restart it, so the overlay that we've just added actually appears. Now go back into your settings, post-processing, and back into border overlay. And in this selected preset drop down, you should see the one that you've just added. So you want to select it and then boot up your game. And with any luck, everything should be lined up and working just fine, especially if you've set your screen resolution and you're using this style of bezel. When you're doing stuff like this and using this kind of overlay is when it starts to get complicated, because you have to change the image size and position, and there really is no set standard. And what you need to set is going to change based on a whole bunch of different variables. So I'm not even going to bother trying to tell you what to set. What I am going to show you is how you can make these changes in relative real time, at least without needing to restart the emulator every bloody change. So you want to go into windowed mode and maximize it if you need to. Then you're going to go back into settings, post-processing, back into border overlay. Now we're going to go back into that overlays folder from earlier on and open up the YML that is currently being used. So this is what is currently being used to get the image positioned to where it is now. And we can change this and get it updated. So I'm just going to do something stupid just to demonstrate this. I'm going to change that to 400. I'm going to change that to 800. Now after you've made all of your changes, you need to make sure that you save this. And then we need to unload this and reload it to actually see that take effect. So we're going to go back into our selected preset, select the PSX default, which will change it, and then we're going to change it back. And as you can see, all of our changes have now taken place. I'm going to change this back to how it was just so I can show you that again. So you want to make your edit directly in the YML file. And I think that was at 1094 before. And then you want to make sure that you save this. Now we need to unload this by selecting a different overlay. And then we need to reload it by reselecting it. And there we go. Now hopefully that is enough for everybody to at least get started with the new overlays feature. And if you're interested, I've got a bunch of other in-depth tutorials for DuckStation, and I'll put links for those in the description below. If you found this video helpful, slam me a thumbs up, and if you want to keep up to date, you know what to do. And apart from that, go play some games. Adios.